Tesla shareholders approving CEO Elon Musk's $1 trillion pay package, the compensation agreement getting 75% support among voting shares when it was announced at the company's annual shareholder meeting. Senior Autos reporter Pras Subramanian joins me now with the top takeaways from that meeting. So Pras, he got the vote. Now he's got a lot of jobs to do.
Yeah, more than just one, right? So we saw the vote. They went through all the different proposals, and at the end of the meeting, they announced that Musk won the approval for his $1 trillion pay package by over a 75% vote. So that's good to see. Now, I believe Musk was able to vote his own shares in this, so that's why able to get past that 75%, because before that, the other proposals last year and the year before were below 75%. Anyway, with regards to that pay package being approved, that's great news. But then they also has to hit all those different tranches, all those really high end, really scaling up style type of milestones, like, for instance, 20 million cars, all the robots. Right, a big EBITDA goals, right? But a few things that Musk sort of mentioned during his Q&A after is that a few interesting things. First of all, they're going to scale up Optimus assembly at both Giga Austin and also Fremont first, and Giga Austin later. He also mentioned that the Cybercab is going to come out for April 2026 production, which is a nice thing to hear, an actual target date there for production of that car. We've seen a couple of them here and there. They look a little bit different than the car they revealed back in October of last year, but still more the same. No pedals, no steering wheels. We'll see about that. Also, 3 of the board directors were nominated too. And then one nomination to the board, but then also XAI. Tesla said that shareholders approved the XAI investment, but there was a bunch of abstaining votes, so they want to reevaluate that in the future.
Well, and one other thing, one of the other items that was voted upon was whether Tesla should invest in XAI. That is something that Musk himself has sort of pushed for, but then also said the shareholders should vote. And it sounds like that shareholders did approve that, but the board is not sure if they want to do it. What do we know about that?
Yeah. So basically, essentially the shareholders did approve it by a majority vote, but there were a number of abstaining votes. So the board says they're going to evaluate that decision. Now, some commentators think that means that the board was sort of lukewarm on it, and they still kind of want to put that in the back burner and think about that later, because of the fact that, let's be honest, both Tesla and XAI are sort of doing similar things in the world of AI, right? They're both working on AGI. They're working on potentially putting that into physical objects, right? So that's sort of maybe why the board is a little hesitant right now. They want to get more information, see if that makes sense. Musk has said that it does make sense, not just an investment, not a merger, just an investment makes sense.
Well, Elon Musk spoke about Tesla's path forward at the company's annual shareholder meeting as well, focusing on the shift to robotics. He said the robots will be bigger than the company's car business, and he made claims about what they will be able to accomplish.
People often talk about eliminating poverty, giving everyone amazing medical care. Well, there's actually only one way to do that, and that's with the Optimus robot. With humanoid robots, you can actually give everyone amazing medical care.
Musk didn't give a date for hitting those goals and talking about all that. Joining me now is Brett Winton, ARK Invest chief futurist, who spends a lot of time thinking about these future sort of possibilities. Brett, it's great to have you here. Of course, ARK is an investor in Tesla, and you guys were in favor of this pay package for Elon Musk. What do you think now does this unlock? Now that this hurdle is sort of behind the company, what does this mean for Tesla and the next step forward?
I think it's great for Tesla. I think it really opens up the option value into the humanoid robot opportunity. And, he mentioned investing in their own single source fab. So it allows him to really push the company towards the future. Without Elon's leadership, I think it would be very tempting for shareholders to try to extract the rents off the robotaxi business without reinvesting. And ultimately, we think the humanoid robot opportunity is an order of magnitude larger than robotaxi. And so I think it's worth the investment it will take. And it'll take a lot of investment. I think there's going to be a lot of money that pushes into developing out the humanoid program. And I think he's the right person to lead that transition.
I'm going to focus on one word you said, which is ultimately. Because as we know, Tesla and Elon Musk specifically have a history of these big ambitious goals, many of which he meets, eventually or ultimately, but he tends to push back that timeline quite a bit. So I'm curious how you're thinking about these various possibilities, whether it be Optimus or the robotaxi, and how soon this stuff is actually going to be material for the company.
Well, robotaxi is, I mean, I've ridden in one in Austin. I drive around in FSD every day. It's both in real time, a marvelous, remarkable, magical product. And I think, or we think it's going to produce marvelous, magical cash flow for the company in the immediate term within the next year or so. Once they activate a fleet of robotaxis in the US, we think they're going to enjoy a natural monopoly position in providing inexpensive point-to-point mobility across multiple cities and scaling exponentially. And so it really will become for many people the default mode by which they get from place to place. And the cash flow it'll kick off, we measure in the perspective hundreds of billions of dollars. So a great return for shareholders. Now they're going to have to take that and invest in a lot of AI compute and a lot of hardware innovation in order to make humanoid robots work. And like you say, it's yes, they're going to try to produce 1 million robots in his pay package by the end of 2030. I think that's going to be a hard and steep climb to get there. Ultimately, in the 2029 to 2030 timeframe, we do think these products will commercialize in a generalizable, broad way, and that it'll be amazing for humanity and amazing for Tesla. And I don't underestimate the challenge that they're undertaking and going after the opportunity.
I want to come back to this, but I want to first ask about something you said, which is the robotaxi being a monopolistic opportunity. And I'm surprised to hear you say that, considering not only do they have a competitor, they're not the first one on the roads, right? I'm talking about Waymo, of course. Why do you think that Tesla's going to be so dominant when Waymo beat them to market and is already out there in multiple cities?
Sure, and I've ridden in Waymos, and they are also amazing, magical products. The problem is their cost basis, the cost that they can profitably provide that service seems to be on the order of $3 a mile. And so it's cost competitive with Uber, and it's a great product. And they have around 2,000 vehicles in the US as a whole. Tesla produces 2,000 vehicles out of its Austin factory before lunch every day. And so once they're able to software deliver an update that allows those to operate as robotaxis, they'll have an extreme scale advantage. And then next year, they're going to begin producing the Cybercab, which will give them a cost per mile advantage. So they'll be able to offer people an amazing price and an amazing service. The Waymo is great. I still don't rely on it 100% of the time or even 50% of the time because there's only a few of them. And so often wait times are too long. And people really want a default that they go to for all of their transportation needs. That's why Uber has worked over time. And we think Tesla will be in an actually even more advantaged position once they scale robotaxi.
Brett, when we talk about the various milestones that Musk has to hit in order to get, there are these 12 tranches of this pay package, so it's not just in one shot. It's going to take a while. He has to hit a bunch of different goals. If he doesn't, given the timeline challenges he's had in the past, what is the risk that he doesn't hit the goal on time, doesn't get that tranche of the pay package, and sort of loses interest, right? Which has been a challenge with him in the past and was the whole reason, or not the whole reason, but a reason that folks voted on this pay package in the first place. How much of a risk do you view that?
No, I think he's, maniacally dedicated to Tesla, and he has been, and he will continue to do so. I think that the value of the pay package is to give him, it's not the money that I think he's interested in, or that we're even interested in necessarily giving him, it's the control. It's if he can deliver on even a subset of these milestones, it would be really unprecedented in terms of shareholder return in history. And it would give him license to continue to push the company forward into the future. So even if they don't deliver on all of them, and many of them we think are quite achievable within our expectations for the company, it will give him additional control of the company to make sure that it is still at the leading edge of innovation, even as it scales and becomes remarkably cash flow generative. The danger of having a company that delivers a service that everybody uses and that kicks off a lot of cash is it's easy for that company and its management team to really, and its shareholders, frankly, to get kind of dumb, fat, and lazy, where they're like, oh, this cash flow is nice. I'm satisfied to not deliver a better, more compelling experience by end customers because I can just dominate this particular subsegment of the value chain. Well, we don't think that that is the best future for Tesla, and nor does Elon Musk, and that's why we're excited to have him, continuing to push the company forward.
Brett, I want to switch gears and ask you about crypto, because that's something that ARK has been all in on in a number of different ways, including introducing your own crypto-related products. But I know that Cathie Wood, of course, who heads up ARK Invest, recently talked about a bit of a lightening up on your Bitcoin position because of the changes that stablecoin has wrought in the market. What can you tell us about the thinking behind that and what that means for your investments?
Yeah, you can think of there being a cryptocurrency revolution, which is really alternative monies that allow people, particularly in emerging markets, to get access to kind of more stable currencies than they have before. And then a smart contracting revolution, which is really transforming the financial ecosystem. And smart contracting is catalyzed and superpowered by stablecoins. Stablecoins also offer people in emerging markets access to the dollar that they previously didn't have. And so part of the promise of Bitcoin is if you have a currency that is shakier and more inflation prone, that's being mismanaged, you can get out of it into Bitcoin. Well, now you can also get out of it into a stable coin. So stable coins, dollar denominated, are insurance packages against your existing currency. Well, Bitcoin is basically an insurance against the dollar. So we think Bitcoin will still play a super meaningful role in people's asset allocations. In fact, if you look at what's happened to gold, just as a digital gold, you have to kind of underwrite a better return for Bitcoin just because it's lagged relative to gold to date. And we think there should be a catch up at some point. And I think that you can't deny that kind of the flood of synthetic dollars into markets is allowing people to find alternative mechanisms to protect themselves against mismanagement of their local currencies. And
just very quickly, Brett, in the short term, what do you think the sort of near-term bottom for Bitcoin could be?
Yeah, it's a tricky question, right? I mean, you can look at the technicals and you can say this $100,000 level is important. And then there's another a little below here in the kind of like 95-ish range. We don't look at things over the short term for a reason. I think it's very hard to call the latest market mania. Over 5 years, we think that public blockchains, and Bitcoin in particular, are amazing exposures because they are a better money. And they're a better mechanism by which to store and transmit value, across all of our strategies, across our venture strategy, across our public equities. Right. We look out 5 years and we have 5-year price targets for a reason. So you can't come back to me and complain about what it's doing next week.